My name is Jacob Johnson. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong? Have you ever felt sad, hopeless, or depressed? You are not alone. Depression is more common than you might think. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2010, suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in America. Someone died every 13.7 minutes. Depression affects people regardless of age, race, sex, or location. I know firsthand what it is like to lose somebody close to you due to depression. I used to think depression was a psychological disorder that people used as an excuse to get others to feel sorry for them. That all changed one day when I got a phone call from a friend saying that a close friend of mine had killed himself. He was depressed over relationship problems with his girlfriend, and he thought that death was the only way out. What is depression? Why do people have it? And what does it happen? Depression is part caused by neurotransmitters that carry and regulate signals into the brain. It's difficult to diagnose because you can't measure the levels in a person's brain. If the levels are too high or too low, it causes psychological disorders, including depression. Norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine are examples of neurotransmitters. Norepinephrine is important for emotions, sleeping, and learning. Serotonin relays messages from one part of the brain to the other. Dopamine gives us the pleasure to drive and seek rewards. You can see how important the neurotransmitters are to a person in helping one's feelings. If they are too high or too low, you have feelings of sadness, hopelessness, or even death. There are many types of depression. Major depression is more common than one might think. Based on interpretations from their letters, journals, and family members, Buzz Aldrin, Woody Allen, Angelina Jolie, and my personal favorite, Jim Carrey, are presumed to have suffered from chronic depression. It interferes with the ability to sleep, eat, and work. It prevents one from functioning normally. Chronic depression lasts longer than major depression, but it is not as severe. It's basically when you're feeling down on yourself about everything for a long period of time. Manic depression, also known as bipolar disorder, is when you have periods of clinical depression and mania. My sister has bipolar disorder, and let me tell you, it is no joke. Her moods are all over the place and are from one extreme to another. By this I mean when she is sad, she's sad, and when she's mad, well, you better not be around. She also suffers from childhood depression, which 2.5% of all American children suffer from it. If someone has moderate to severe depression, it may be from after giving birth to a child. This is also called postpartum depression. The change in the hormones affect their moods and their behaviors. Other non-hormonal factors like changes in the body, less freedom, and lack of sleep can also cause these. There are so many things that depression can cause. If the levels of the neurotransmitters are too low or too high, it can cause a chemical imbalance in the brain. Genetics is also a major cause for depression. If it runs in your family, you're more likely to experience it at one time or another throughout your life, and the forms of depression you may experience may vary from one to many. Trauma and grief also play a huge part in depression. Death, violence, emotional, or physical abuse all have been proven to cause depression. Females are twice as likely as males to have experienced depression throughout their lifetime. This is due to hormonal changes at certain stages throughout their life. Elderly are also at higher risk than your average American because they are alone and have less social support on a daily basis. Changes in stress also cause depression. There are good changes, such as a new job, a job you like, or a fresh marriage, or a happy marriage. Bad changes also cause depression. This could be divorce, a job loss, or any certain type of medication you may take that the warning label states that it can cause depression. Drugs and alcohol also play a huge role in depression as people use them for way out of life and feel high for the time being, but it also causes them to feel depressed in the end. So since it's hard to tell the level of transmissions and neurotransmissions in your brain, how can depression be diagnosed? The biggest way is watching for physical signs, such as memory loss in the way you are feeling. Do you feel like you need to cry a lot? Are you not driven? Those are signs to look for. A professional can do a personal interview to see if one has feelings of death or suicide. A diagnostic evaluation can be done to determine if there's family history and to see if you are more likely to have it or not. There are many treatments for depression, but yet 80% of people go untreated throughout their lives. Doctors can prescribe antidepressants to help transmit electrical signals between the brain cells. They can help regulate chemical imbalances. Electric shock treatments is also an option, but it puts a brief electric current to the brain, which scares many people, but it's actually very effective. Psychological therapy also helps to find coping strategies to deal with these feelings. Depression is a chemical malfunctioning in the brain. There aren't a lot of preventative options out there available for your average person. An estimated 1 in 10 adults suffer from depression, yet 80% go untreated. Depression is very common, and there are so many treatments available for people. If you have signs of depression, ask for help. Don't be one of the people who goes untreated and lives with the feeling of sadness. There is always a way out.